So it is Friday night, and I am waiting for my steak to rest, but I did a rotisserie picanha like they do in a Rodizio restaurant, and they're on a skewer, so there was really no way I could take a picture of it. A few things to talk about. 2 boxes came from some Finger Lakes wine clubs that I'm in. One is from Silver Thread, the other one is from Sheldrake. We passed on the Damiani this time around. Good story or good news about the Finger Lakes of 2024 vintage. So last summer was extremely hot and dry, which is great for ripe grapes. And the grapes had a higher sugar count, so they're expecting a higher alcohol, fuller bodied wines. Now for Riesling, it just has to be carefully done. So these Rieslings will probably be a little bit more textured, a little bit more full bodied than the light to medium that they typically are. We'll see. But I'm excited about the reds out of the banana belt. If the 2024s are like the 2020s and the 2012s, then absolutely will be a buying vintage. It's not necessarily that I need a red wine to be super bold, but I do want it to have like a medium to medium plus, more like a medium plus body is like my sweet spot. And most are probably in that medium minus, but in those ripe years, that's that medium plus, and it's just a perfect body to alcohol to weight to texture of reds up in the Finger Lakes. So, but their whites excel. I even think their reds do excel too, but in the better vintages or warmer vintages, they do even better. Tonight, I'm opening a bottle of wine I've wanted to try forever before I do the unboxing. This is called Ladiques from Los Vascos, and it is a collaboration between, pretty sure it's Catena and Rothschild. So, and this typically is a Bordeaux blend, meaning it's the grapes from the left bank of Bordeaux, Cab Sauv, Cab Franc, Merlot, Petit Verdot, Malbec, Carmenere, and they'll do a blend. This specific vintage, 2021, is 100% Cab. I remember reading about that, and I said, if I'm going to try this wine, and I'm not the biggest fan of Chilean reds, they have sort of this, it's almost like eating, it's going to sound weird, like a kidney or chicken heart. Is this, I like gamey meat, but that gaminess in an organ meat is very different, and sometimes a Chilean wine can have a kind of that slight taste. That sounds terrible, but I want to see what this wine is about. And Chilean wines aren't all like that, just some of the ones I've had. So it definitely has this slightly different aroma. And being told, from my research and everything, quince, which is I think a type of apple pear type of thing, fruit, typically comes out in a lot of Chilean wines. This does have a slightly red pear aroma, which is bizarre. But it does. It has red pear, just some cherry, maybe a touch of blackberry. It's an interesting aroma, a good aroma. There's nothing wrong. There's none of that organ meat smell or a bloodiness or anything like that. Feral. I wonder what the alcohol content is on this thing. 14.5. So I decanted it. It's been decanting for a good hour. So tannins are good. There's no weird off flavor. The first sip, I do like this. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Different stylistic than what you expect from either Bordeaux and United States Napa for a Cab, but it's got good length, good acid, good tannin, a little drying. I think this is going to pair really well with the steak. I think I need to eat this with food and let it decant longer. Really good flavor though. It's very long on the length. it's not cheap. This was near $80, so not cheap. But you're talking about two very well-known wine families combining to make this Los Vascos wines. I think this is their best of the line, so I figured I'd try it. But this is good. High quality Chilean wine right here. Speaking of Chilean wine, I think Wine Spectator's #1 wine of the year was Don Melchior's Cab. And I've had that wine before. Wine's delicious. So I know I said some things about Chilean wine, but that wine is delicious. I do believe the top 10 that Wine Spectator did is really good. And in there is a wine that I actually was talking about not that long ago, and I was just waxing poetic about a certain Barolo, and gosh, I hope that price doesn't go up because of this top 10. I'll do a different video on Wine Spectator's top 10. Actually, the whole top 100. I think the list is actually really good. I know a lot of the wines. And yeah, so we'll do the unboxing here. So I got some aged Riesling from Sheldrake. They do have a great library, 2013. This one says dry. Always looking for those dry Rieslings, and I think I just got 2 of them. I basically replaced the majority of what they... Oh, this is interesting. So here's their 2022 Cab Reserve, and they put it under screw cap. I do not remember a screw cap. So that's interesting. Yeah, nothing interesting on the back. But those were the 3 from Sheldrake. So from there I get about a case a year. Silver Thread, I think, is all Riesling. So they're 2023, and I do believe Silver Thread's young Rieslings just have this key lime pie thing going on always. So this is Doigt Fournier. Pretty sure this is the Davis Vineyard, one of the oldest vineyards of Riesling from the 1970s in the Finger Lakes. So sort of old vine Riesling, older vine Riesling. This is their 2023 semi-dry. So I think this would go good with spicy food. And it's not going to be super sweet or lusciously sweet, just a little bit to temper some heat. So this goes great with spicy food. Spicy food does work with dry white as well. It does not work with red. I have heard if you buy a really low acid, a low tannin, high acid red and chill it, you can do spicy, but I've not tried that. I will say, and I heard it recently, and I couldn't agree more, and this is totally a tangent, but the Gamay Noir, so Beaujolais, and it's just, it gets so much attention about these fresh, blah, blah, blah wines, and I've never been the biggest fan. And I'm glad some other folks out in the industry are kind of saying the same thing. If I'm going to go that route with that style, I'm going Pinot Noir, and I'm going to go with a good Pinot Noir. If I'm going to enjoy my wine, I don't really want a Gamay. I don't want a Beaujolais. I want a good Pinot Noir. Now, I'm sure there's some Beaujolais Gamays that I would drink in a blind tasting. I think they're Pinot or vice versa. But if I know knowing what I buy, I'm just going to stick with some Pinot. So many great Pinots now. Just 2023 dry Riesling. This is, I think, their standard. So one of them said reserve, one says standard. I'm sure there's a difference. I don't know it offhand. And then I'm pretty sure I asked for some age. So here's a 2015. And I've not had their 2015. I've had their 2011, their 2012, their 2014, 2015. So I think what's missing is their 2013 that I may request next time. And here's a 2012 from their Randolph O'Neill Vineyard. So always a big fan of aged white. You can never go wrong there. Another purchase that is totally outside of wine, but I cut my teeth on and learning about alcohol and spirits and wine on tequila. Good tequila. Not the crap tequila that you shoot with lime and salt or any of that, but good sipping tequila. Añejos specifically, I did enjoy them, and it kind of were reminiscent to me as having a scotch or a bourbon with a cigar or something along that line, and that's the type of spirit it is. Lower alcohol, so actually a lot less burn, although people's heads, tequila has this stigma. It's an unfortunate stigma because it can be, and I hate to use the word, but smoother than tons of bourbon, because bourbon's higher proof. tequila typically is at 72 range, but they can go higher. They have gone higher. Now they're even doing barrel strengths. So I guess even what I just said is sort of half out the window. But I think my first article I ever wrote for a magazine was in 2004, and it was on these tequilas that were pretty expensive, all añejos. I do use reposado in my margaritas, and I will drink a blanco, and I do know that's like the most pure expression of the agave, and I get it, but I want some age, I want some barrel, I want some other components to my tequila. So this is probably one of the most sought after tequilas right now. Fortaleza is the brand. This is their añejo, so not a cheap tequila. Very, very difficult to find, and I challenge you to find it. I think right now they just came out, and some stores have them, but it's going quickly. I've only just tried it last weekend. Had it at a bar, had a few ounces of it, and it was fantastic. Do I think it's worth the cost? Probably. This one probably. Considering the prices of aged spirits and the cost, this one falls in line with the quality. So that is what it is. I used to be on a tequila forum. I was actually called In Search of the Blue Agave. And this bottle made many years ago. I don't even know if Penco Azul is still around. I'm sure I could look up the NAM, which tells you the distillery, but this was made so long ago, and they especially made a tequila for members of the forum, and I did get a bottle, and I've just been drinking through it, and it's been fantastic. So I've been a little bit on a tequila kick when I just want a little bit of a spirit, and I do believe the quality of tequila has risen immensely, but there's a lot of bad tequila out there too, where they're adding additives. So this additive-free thing has become, it used to be back in the early 2000s that it was if 100% blue agave meant quality. If it didn't have that on there, it was called a mixto, which meant 51% was blue agave, and the rest could be like caramel, could be junk. And that's what Cuervo Gold was, but then there was all these other expressions of great tequila. Now, 20 years later, they are 100% blue agave, but they're adding crap to them. And they're even sweet, which means they're probably just dumping sugar in them to make them palatable. But they lack that pure essence. So I am a purist. Of course, I want my tequila without the additives. And they were sticking this additive-free, but some of the tequilas had that on the shelf, the cost, the price. But I'm hearing that now the Mexican government is kind of anti that stuff. So that's my little side rant on tequila. I'm not doing a tequila video unless somebody really wants me to do a spirit video, but this still has that pear aroma. That is insane. I don't think I've ever had, you know what it is? Like poached pear. That is the aroma out of here. If you poach a pear in red wine, this is what this smells like. There is a uniqueness to this. That must be this Chilean terroir that I'm tasting. But this is a good wine. Really good wine. If out of 5, I'm getting a 4.5. I think with steak, it'll only get better. I'm getting a little bit of that gaminess now. A little bit. Not enough to turn me from this wine, but it's a good wine. So, always be trying something new. Never had this. It's been on my mental wish list for a while. Glad I'm trying it. Will I buy it again? Not in this price range. In this price range, I could just get some other things. They're a little bit more consistent, maybe a little bit more to what I would like. I do like this. I'm glad I tried it. And it is dinner time. Have a good night.